fishing news is sponsored by these fine partners.
You see all those pretty colors in the NOAA weather forecast this week? Reminds me of one of those old blacklight posters I used to have at college. But it's a strong indication that you'll have time this week to get caught up on your honey-do list and your Christmas shopping. I'm Jim Hutchinson with the New Jersey Delaware Bay edition of the Fisherman magazine. I said last week I was going to keep it short and sweet, but I got so amped up, really, about talking sand eels and stripers that I went about the length of a network sitcom. Well, this big bang that we're having this week, Wednesday into Thursday, I'm not really sure if I can go the distance this week. I did drive up to the beach Wednesday morning thinking, these bass are going to feed heavily before this blow. I got up over the dunes, I looked out at the gray abyss, and I quit. I went back home. I enjoyed my hot coffee. But that's not to say other hardy souls weren't out there Wednesday morning getting it done. I heard from quite a few surfcasters that braved the conditions Wednesday morning before the heave and were rewarded throwing those heavy jigs into the face of a growing nor'easter. Did pretty well. God bless those of you who did that. Personally, I found Tuesday morning was more to my liking. Dead calm, glassy, a light northwest wind at my back. It was cold, but in those conditions, bluebird conditions, it's always nice, and I had the stripers right in front. The tides were great, first light this week, so if you got out there at first light, you probably got on a couple of stripers. Throw in the tsunami plastics that I was talking about last week, and again, having the wind at your back is always helpful for that. But if you're living close enough to the beach this time of year and you've got a good set of waders, you can wear your work clothes underneath, sneak in some of the best action of the day, which is really at that gray light period in the morning, and be at work. Nobody's going to know that you're gone, which is the way it's been for me most of this week. Then again, of course, Thursday's obviously a bust, and Friday doesn't look much better on the expected waves and winds that we have forecast from this nor'easter. Again, maybe some of the hardiest souls will be out on Friday throwing those heavy jigs into the wind. But Saturday morning looks pretty good. It's shaping up rather nicely with high tide out front roughly around 11 a.m. Saturday morning. The the middle of the week forecast from NOAA shows northwest winds, so it could be good on Saturday morning. And with seas expected to settle down a bit, you can sling those plugs and plastics as well. You know what I'm talking about. If you've got that wind going left to right, right to left, or right in your face, imagine trying to throw a metal lip. There are some bunker in the mix, so swim shads. But again, it's been a lot of sand eels at this point. Nick Konachesky, he was out Wednesday morning, but he was also out just about every morning this week. He said it was the Savage Sand Eel imitation and the teaser that it was getting done. Again, he's fishing that Ocean County stretch, which is some of the best action, the best striped bass action going here at the Jersey Shore. By the way, set your DVR for the premiere of Nick's Saltwater Underground TV show. It's coming to the Sportsman's channel as of January 1st. Nick's show will appear on that cable network on Fridays at 10:30 a.m., Sundays at 4:30 a.m. and 4:30 p.m. beginning, as I said, January 1st. Nick Konachesky, Saltwater Underground on the Sportsman channel. Way to go, big dog. Doing our reports for this week at thefisherman.com, North, Central, and South Jersey. We do have some reports still to tell you about this late in the season. We spoke to the folks from Fanatics. Justin there at Fanatics in Ocean City said small bass are around the bridges at night and first light, also along the north end jetty tips. And they're taking some of those smaller plastics, especially the swim shads. You know, the smaller Kettle Creeks, and maybe some of those tsunami swim shads. Rick at Pier 47 Marina in Wildwood said it was the soft plastics preferred by those guys that still have the boats in the water, fishing in the Back Bay and the rivers down in Cape May County. Again, we heard from Rick, and he said there's quite a few fish. They're almost stacked up in back there. Out front, Steve Vidcal let me know that he found the stripers about a mile off AC in 20 to 30 feet of water. No birds, but the fish finder was lit up like an early Christmas tree. Early. It's no longer early. We got Christmas right around the bend here. 29 inches, very fat. And again, those niners, a lot of folks are trolling those umbrella rigs with the tubes and shads out front. For those of you who still have the boats in the water, Monmouth, Ocean, Atlantic, and Cape May County. Expect to find some of those stripers out front. Farther north, Ken Seaford let me know that his wife Valerie did well last Friday as well with stripers in the Forked River out back, which is a good sign. Hopefully we'll see a lot of these bass wintering over at the Jersey Shore again. Tuckahoe, Egg Harbor, Mullica, the Forked River, and the Toms River as well. I think with the shutdown of Oyster Creek, a lot of those fish in Barnegat Bay seem to have spread out, but it would really be nice to find more of those holdovers. Again, don't forget, as of January 1st and through until March 1st, you're not allowed to target striped bass in the back bays. That policy has been in place for a long time to protect those holdovers, but it's a good indication maybe that some white perch action will take off in winter. Ed Guth Jr. let me know that he's already been on one. It's a Skillful Angler Award nominee. This fish, this white perch, taped out at 16¼ inches, weighed 2 pounds. That's a relation to a striped bass. Fights the same, takes some of the same tackle, although a little bit smaller, and tastes pretty darn good as well. And wherever you are along the striper coast from Sandy Hook down to Lewis, Delaware, don't think it's over. Nothing is over, as John Rambo said. You don't just turn it off, and it certainly hasn't turned off just yet. In fact, we found out from Captain Frank Wags of Fin Chaser Charters, he's heading out of Twin Lights Marina up on the Raritan. He's still on some good fish. Just last week, found some outstanding light tackle jigging on the stripers up north around Raritan Bay and out front of Sandy Hook. Said Chris and Mike were out catch and releasing about 150 stripers on Kettle Creek blue belly blackback shads, with several over the size limit, bass to 42 inches. Good sign. And again, this striper action should continue. Monmouth, Ocean, Atlantic, and Cape May throughout the rest of this month. It's just a matter of being those hardy souls out there prospecting, finding the fish. I missed a Cape May tog trip this week. Was supposed to be out on Thursday with Bob Cope and the crew from Berkeley, but this weather obviously kept us in port, and a lot of boats were kept in port because of this weather this week, but hopefully things turn around by the weekend after this nor'easter goes through, and hopefully things will return to normal on the black sea bass, tog, porgy, and ling grounds as well. Folks have been working hard to get on the blackfish of late. Jesse Tice let me know that it's worth the effort, though. Don't forget, you still have tog in the mix if you're fishing on boats in Delaware or New Jersey heading into 2021. A 4-fish bag limit on blackfish in both states. So again, tog will take us through into the new year. Black sea bass, on the other hand, will close at the end of the day, December 31st, just as you're getting ready to celebrate the New Year's. Boats out of Shark River and Manasquan in particular continue to hit those bottom fishing grounds for black sea bass, and it's hot and heavy for customers. A few really good sized black sea bass coming aboard some of the boats out of Manasquan, for example. The Big Jamaica has been putting some giant humpbacks on those offshore trips. So if you're looking to get out on black sea bass and scoring before the holidays are over, before New Year comes, the 2021 we shut down in January and February, get on that now. And again, hopefully after this big blow, things will shape up rather nicely for those trips. Bread and milk. It's the classic storm prep joke from comedian Vic DiBettetto. Yeah, you know Vic. It's very funny. Not sure whether you are in the mix for snow, rain, or a combination of the both of them on this Thursday snowpocalypse. But I'll tell you one thing that I have found out is that some folks out west in the Poconos are already finding some ice fishing conditions worth the effort. Let's check in with some advice, some tactics, some freshwater reports from my friend George, the Pocono Outdoors guy.
Well, hey, thanks, Jim. You know, winter is certainly here with all this mess. But you know, some guys are out getting fish, as always. I got to tell you, one of a good friends, Jeremy Cruz, got into some first ice here in Pennsylvania. Can believe it? It was barely safe, and it was one of those lakes that it's shallow and is always the first lake to freeze over. But Jeremy Cruz did manage to get on a few fish, got into a couple nice little pickerel. Not bad for the first ice of the season, so way to go there, Jeremy. Now, I want to tell you who else has been catching fish over in New Jersey. Good friend Jen Wong was out working some jerk baits aggressively, and he got into a couple of really nice largemouths. You wouldn't think they'd be chasing jerk baits this time of year, but he was really successful. Great work, Jen. So don't forget that tactic. Now, as I promised last week, we've been talking a lot about the trout bite. That trout is still really on fire in these creeks and streams. I wanted to give you some tips, guys, on some tackle to use. Now, I reached out to our local Pocono guru here for trout, Eric Goodstall. He's with the Broadhead chapter of Trout Unlimited. And he said, here's 4 flies you need in your kit if you want to catch trout over the winter in these streams. Now, Eric said the Black Ghost Streamer is probably one of the first ones you want to have in your tackle kit. This one's great all year round. He says you can work them in the on the fly. Just roll cast that upstream and it'll do real good for you. Secondly is the pink Cadillac. He said that pink really turns the fish on and makes them strike aggressively. Also, a black zebra midge. He says this is probably one of the biggest feeders for those big fish. So try that one out as well. And lastly, the woolly bugger is something everybody has to have in their tackle kit for flies. Now, I'm no flyer fisher myself. I rely on these fly guys to give us these tips. I'm going to try some of my kit this winter. I hope you guys will too. Well, I got to go out and shovel now, but you guys get out and get on those fish. From Pennsylvania, I'm George, your Pocono Outdoors guy.
I got an email the other day from a reader who was asking me about tides, what I use for tides, and as far as keeping track of the tides, the high tides, the low tides. One thing that I do, I've got a fish weather app on my phone. I don't have many apps because my kids aren't around enough to help me download these stupid things. But Fish Weather is a great app. It's a free app that you can put on your phone, not just the tides in select locations. I guess it knows where I am based on my GPS, but it also gives wind conditions, wind graph, and a forecast table, which is pretty good. I'm also very old school. I keep 2 tide clocks close at hand. My one tide clock is set for being out front. That's the one I keep on my office wall over here. So I always know what the tides look like out front. The other tide clock that I keep is out in the garage. This one is set for the tides for my boat, which I keep in the back in Tuckerton. So old school. These are great, by the way. If you're looking for a last minute gift idea for the fisherman on your list, those tide clocks are great. They never go bad. They've been used forever. So to answer your question, that's what I use. Also, of course, you've got the high tide tables in the Fisherman magazine. We've had them forever. And as long as you get every monthly edition of the Fisherman magazine, you have access to the tide tables. Keep this magazine tucked under the seat of your truck. You'll be ready to go. Of course, the December issue is our holiday gift guide. So in addition to the tide table, you also have all those great gifts that we have covered in the Fisherman magazine for the holidays of 2020. Another great gift idea is a subscription to the Fisherman magazine. And right now we've got a great holiday offer. It's just $19.95 for all the editions for the year. It's a great gift. $19.95. It's usually $29.95. So $19.95, $38 for 2 years if you like. It's open to new subscribers, renewing subscribers, and like I said, it's a great gift idea, and it gives you as a subscriber full access behind the paywall over there at thefisherman.com. Hope you weather the snowpocalypse. Get those family jobs done Thursday and Friday. Give yourself time free to get back out there on the beach on Saturday morning with the tins and teasers. And of course, those sand eel imitations, the savage, the mad eels, and of course the tsunamis. I will be out there after the blow myself. I'll look for you. Hey, next week, because of Christmas, we're going to come to you one day early. So you're going to get your video forecast next Wednesday. I will see you then, and I'll see you there.
Steigercraft boats, built by people who fish our waters. Serious anglers choose Steigercraft for their 40 years of boat building experience right here in the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic. Visit steigercraft.com for a dealer near you.